If I had to watch Cassie dress up like a baby, so do you. If I had to watch maybe someone be trafficked, so do you. If I had to see Rue make one more bad decision, so do you.
Ooh, you want to buy my nasty merch so bad. Ooh, yeah, buy it, come on, I know you want it, baby girl.
Have you ever been sitting there and suddenly thought, why are we here? What is the meaning of life? What's my purpose? What if none of this is real? What if I'm not real? And then you just can't stop thinking about it. Next thing you know, you're spiraling and you need to do whatever you can to figure this out now. So you buy piles of books to finding out your purpose and desperately search for answers there. Or constantly replay past memories to try and prove your existence. Or check every morning to make sure that you can see your own reflection in the mirror. And then pinch yourself just to be totally sure that you're real. It's a really human thing to have questions like these. But if those questions feel stuck in your mind, cause you intense distress, and make it hard to focus on things that you enjoy, it might be a sign of OCD. OCD is so misunderstood. And a lot of people don't realize that it can focus on anything, including questions about existence, purpose, meaning, happiness. When you have OCD, unwanted thoughts and fears play on a loop in your mind, and it feels like you need to do something to solve them. The problem is, trying to find answers or gain certainty only makes them come back even stronger. I have OCD myself, so I know how relentless and exhausting it can be. What made the biggest difference for me was finding a therapist who specialized in OCD and knew how to treat it properly with exposure and response prevention therapy, also known as ERP, the most effective treatment for OCD. And that's why I want to tell you about NOCD. NOCD is the world's leading provider of specialized OCD treatment, and it's covered by insurance for over 138 million Americans. All their licensed therapists are highly trained in ERP and understand all the different ways that OCD can show up. You meet with them in live, face-to-face virtual sessions, and you have support between sessions, including therapist messaging and support groups, so you're not facing OCD on your own. ERP has been life-changing for me, and if you relate to any of this, working with someone who actually understands OCD and is trained to treat it could make a huge difference for you too. To learn more about how NOCD can help, visit nocd.com to book a free call with their team. That's NOCD.com.
So I do think I like this episode a little bit more than I did episode 1. I will admit, okay? I'm open to it. I told you from the very start, I have an open heart, an open mind, open legs. However, while watching this episode, I did pause it to go do something else, which is something I would have never done for season 1 or 2. Season 2, my ass was home at 9 p.m. sharp, sitting on the couch, no pauses allowed. And for this one, like, I watched it at midnight and I paused it. Like, I think that's how you know. It's just not, you know, unfortunately. I wish it was. So in this episode, we get a little bit of a Maddie recap. This is as good as I could do, okay? We get a little bit of a Maddie recap, what she's been up to for the last 5 years. She came to LA with clothes, no money, but a plan. She apparently got her stalking skills from Nathaniel, from when he was stalking Tyler, and then Jules, and then also Maddie. He was just stalking everyone. Wow, Nate is actually a sick guy. You guys have probably never had this thought before. So Maddie approaches a Miss Penzler and tells her that she didn't go to college, her parents are immigrants, she's not a victim, she won't be an HR nightmare, and she believes in capitalism. Which is when she then answers Miss Penzler's phone for her, taking on the role of her assistant already. As we know, Maddie will always get what she wants. It is interesting, however, seeing her strive for this career, because season 1 and 2, it was made very clear that like working was not a dream of hers, but now there's no other choice. And she was working until the pandemic hit, because we are getting the pandemic storyline in the big 2026. Sam Levinson did mention prior that he wanted to incorporate COVID somehow into season 2, but it didn't end up working out because at the time, nobody wanted to watch anything that had any mentions of COVID within it, which now it's kind of like a relief, especially with shows like The Pit. So it's just like interesting. Before it was like, no, we need to escape the pandemic, let's not talk about it. And now it's like, oh my God, wait, nostalgic. Everybody was doing TikTok dances in their house to say so, which if you know anything about me, then you know that tears started forming in my eyes, but they didn't roll all the way down because I am on a high dose of Prozac. It's kind of hard for me to cry when we did see the influencer dancing to Say So. Say So like immediately triggers something within me and I start crying. Don't love that they happen to portray the BLM movement as violent and dangerous, but am I surprised with the white man writer and director? Not at all. Maddie's like on the phone telling her mom like, Mom, no, the riots are not near me. Yes, I have bear spray. We are introduced to this blonde influencer, Caitlin, and I do think I have blonde blindness because in my head, a lot of blonde women just look alike to me. She comes on screen, I'm like, oh my my god, Cassie. So while Maddie's stuck at home and being paid for it, she decided to make some more money and manage influencers. And you guys know how I feel about influencer storylines. I don't care. I just don't care. The way that people feel about the pandemic in 2020, 2021, 2022, where they don't want to see it, that is how I feel about an influencer storyline in 2026. Maybe I will feel differently in 2040. I don't know, but right now I don't want it. But it's realistic. So Maddie decides that she's going to be her career architect and manage Caitlyn, which means taking her to places to network, like the drill house. Who came up with that nickname? Sam? Quickly. So Maddie starts encouraging her to make adult content as well, because there's a good market for that, like, you know, feet pictures, and manages her well because she has at least 1 million followers. And Maddie is now able to help pay for her mom's rent because she lost her salon job because of the pandemic. And like I did say, there was a lot of feet talk this episode. Like, oh, I get it. Last week was a Wes Anderson episode. This week is a Quentin Tarantino episode. Got it. Okay, sorry. I missed the memo. Oh my god, what are we gonna get next week? Dylan Reed, Maddie's other client, is now interested in Caitlyn until Maddie's boss notices that Dylan Reed and Caitlyn were caught by TMZ, where she is labeled as a star. Maddie admits that yes, she is making commission off of Caitlyn, but not enough. But her mom's salon closed and she's trying to help her out, which Miss Penzler does not give a fuck, because why would she? These people don't know what it's like to have a small business or immigrant parents. And Maddie has no choice but to drop Caitlyn as a client to keep her job. But a year later, Caitlyn was now making $700,000 a month just off of OnlyFans. And Maddie believed that maybe she should have followed her instincts and just stuck with Caitlyn, because maybe she could have been raking in the cash by now too. That is until she gets a DM from Cassie saying that she misses her. And it's like the doors open at the right time all over again. It's divine timing. Rue confesses that her life isn't all that much better at Alamo's than it was at Lori's. Sure, she isn't swallowing fentanyl balloons, but she's basically crawling through pig shit and also covering up a death, which means throw away any traces of Tish, her hair, her personal belongings, the rug that she died on, which we then do see an earring slip out of the rug that Rue does not notice. I don't know if someone's gonna find it in future episodes and they're gonna get caught somehow. I don't know. So Alamo calls up Lori to tell her, hey, you guys killed one of my girls, so I'm keeping one of your girls. Alamo mentions that this is reparations, and then Lori's hick cousin calls Alamo the N-word hard R. Sam Levinson is sitting in his own writer's room, so his home, writing the N-word over and over and over again as many times as he can. Samuel. I'm so scared of Cassie saying the N-word this season because I can feel it in my bones. Like, it's gonna happen. Sydney Sweeney is like, what else do I have to lose, you know? However, Lori really did not think that Tish dying was their fault, when in reality, Wayne forgot to tell Faye to clean the scale, and that's how small grains, traces of fentanyl ended up in Tish's ecstasy, which is so heartbreaking in the reality of drugs. I beg for anybody watching this video to test their drugs, carry Narcan, especially when I lived in my hometown and in Philly. I saw how hard the fentanyl epidemic had hit, and it's so incredibly sad knowing people 21 years old who thought that they were invincible suddenly lose their life due to their drugs being laced. I looked it up. They literally sell fentanyl strips at CVS for $10 for a pack of 10. That's $1 per strip. Not to mention there's a bunch of resource places that do hand them out for free. I know when I lived in Philly, there were so many places that gave out Narcan for free, so I'll post some resources in the description where you can get Narcan for free anywhere in any of the states that you may live in. Really important to learn how to use it and carry it if you feel comfortable, even if you yourself don't use drugs, because you literally never know when you could be saving someone's life with Narcan. Anyway, I'm a big advocate for harm reduction, and I will say that Euphoria does do a great job at not glorifying the horrors of drugs above all my other criticisms of the show. That I do stand by, with especially like Rue's episode in season 2 where her family stages an intervention. This show does a good job at showing drugs are shit and they will ruin your life, and no one's immune to dying from fentanyl. Okay, anyway, Alamo tells Lori he doesn't want money, he wants Rue. And Lori's like, absolutely not happening because Rue owes me money. Which I feel like at this point, being a drug mule for 12 months, she has earned Lori her $100,000. I'm pretty sure Rue is just getting scammed at this point, because I do think she's even. With the amount of drugs she is smuggling in, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I've seen multiple people say this, like, Rue's tab should be at 0 at this point. So Elmo says, you took one of my bitches, I'm taking one of yours. So then Lori calls him a pig. He's like, the N-word I'll let slide. I've been called horrible things, but a pig. That, for some reason, really stuck with him. Learning that the actor who plays Alamo is British is insane to me, because he does, like, the best Southern accent.
These guys go against the law. You know, they make their own path in life and they live or die by it.
And Rue is now just finally realizing she has made a deal with the devil. Like, oh, just now, Ruby? Rue has now been promoted, got $300, wow, Rue, and works at the Silver Slipper, where she gets to be around ladies all day long. And that is when Angel catches her eye, applying her half magic beauty lip gloss. This is in the shade Y2K Cherub. I am actually extremely excited for the half magic Euphoria makeup collection. You guys know how much I love glitter. Love glitter. Oh, I'm excited. And I do love Half Magic. It is a really good brand. I have a lot of things from them. So everyone and their mom fell in love with Priscilla Delgado this episode, I think myself included. And watching this episode, you know for a fact that while she's giving a lap dance to this guy, Mr. Rolex, there was supposed to be Labyrinth music playing, but there is nothing. It's empty. It's literally silent. Like, what is he dancing to? He's like literally like, it's empty. It's completely silent. Which, by the way, Labyrinth did just do an awesome interview for GQ. He says there was no expectation in the first season. It was created through raw energy and Sam's vision, and that I will always say with my chest. I never take that away from Sam. But Labyrinth says he and Levinson eventually lost their creative equilibrium to a point where he no longer felt respected. I just felt that the family and fluidity started to deteriorate, and the creative camaraderie started to dissipate, and it felt like it was happening for no reason. It felt like I had offended people for no reason, and I'm very open with people. If I feel like I've offended them or there's an energy, I just speak to them about it. Shall we put it to bed? He also mentions he has nothing but respect for Hans Zimmer, the sole composer for season 3. And he also mentions that his social media posts were out of character. I've never done anything like that in my career. There were things that were getting sent through the grapevine that made me look like the crazy black guy that just decided to go AWOL. Like, I just went fucking crazy on everybody and decided I'm like some publicity stunt. So my thought process was like, I need to make it clear that I'm out. This has got nothing to do with me getting pushed out or thrown out. I'm going. And to mention also previous collaborators on the season, Alexandra French, an incredible Emmy Award-winning makeup artist who also worked under Donnie Davy, the head makeup artist on Euphoria, has also reposted this TikTok.
So I'm thinking we could really elevate it this year with some 3D holographic printed. You want to do a natural look. Okay, so when you say natural, you mean we're sticking to like blues and purples? Just concealer? Oh my god, I'm freaking out. You already stole the look. Why are we changing it now? It's a Western theme. Okay. I can do like a lasso with the white concealer. You gotta let... You know, I actually had a couple of ideas I think that we should look through before we decide. I just really don't think we should be rushing this decision. Is there like a supervisor or somebody that knows what they're doing I could talk to? I know you're the director. Yeah, I know you that. It's a flop. Sorry, that just slipped out. I meant to say this is gonna suck. I mean, what would Labyrinth say? He's not on it anymore. Oh, okay.
So what's going on? I don't know. I'm waiting for the tell-all. Anyway, during this scene where Angel walks by, I got scared because I thought that was me in the mirror. So all the girls working at the club ask if anyone's heard from Tish recently. But Rue is the only one who knows the truth about what happened to Tish and the fact that she is literally covering up her death. I need to know what volume spray Angel's using. Like in this scene specifically, I'm like, wow. At the end of the night, Rue also makes her own cut like the rest of the girls. And Angel tells Rue that she has some party leftovers because the club just supplies drugs so freely. Like they have a drawer. They're just handing them out, okay? And how is Rue gonna say no to some drugs and a really pretty girl? And that's when Rue and Angel have sex in Rue's car. At one point, Rue even says, ay. Hello? When did Rue become a cornball? When? In Rue's voiceover, she admits even though Angel's a Hellcat, she misses Jules. She visited her a few years ago in the city where she was essentially living the life that Rue and her had dreamed of in New York with this like art studio loft. She was in art school. but Rue didn't have much going on at the time. And Jules, I love you so bad, girl, but that drawing is not Rue. That is not Ruby Bennett. It is nice to know that they reconnected after Rue said some really awful things to Jules during her intervention and after they didn't speak for so long. So that was like heartwarming to see. So I was wrong in the first video. Rue did relapse. Rue is not clean. I feel like Zendaya just does such an amazing job at showing the difference between sober Rue and using Rue. And I thought that we were getting like California sober Rue because like we did see her smoke a joint at Alamo's in the last episode, but she admits to the audience she has relapsed. And if anything, I think she is now a functioning addict, where it's a part of her lifestyle, but she's not actively trying to end her life. But this scene shows Rue that she relapsed really badly in a house with other addicts. Not even her mom or Gia would answer her phone calls when she needed somewhere to stay because Rue was literally homeless. Genuinely so heartbreaking because she did work so hard in high school to be sober, but that is the reality of addiction. And relapsing just is a part of sobriety. But she does admit she has not been sober pretty much since this bad relapse. Rosalie is here, which is awesome. Her music has been featured in the show before, and she used to date Hunter Schafer before as well. So her character's name is Magic, who wants to wear a neck brace on the floor, even though it is a boner killer, because she has a lawsuit going on, and if a private detective catches her without the neck brace, she's not gonna win that $12,000. Angel tries questioning Alamo where Tish is, but she's not getting any answers. Alamo just keeps saying she fell in love. And Alamo, he's just too stuck on the fact that he got called a pig, which I am kind of surprised that he cares so much about. So Rue hears Angel leaving Tish a voicemail and crying because she's actually worried that something did happen to her. We get this scene where Big Eddie, who played Zendaya's dad in Casey Undercover on Disney Channel, is putting money into the safe, and Rue makes a point to turn around, but we really zoom in to the combination as he's spinning it. God, I hope that this doesn't turn out like season 2, where they make it such a big deal of that security camera that doesn't end up meaning anything. It's Chekhov's gun all over again. But I do fear with the emphasis on that, Rue's gonna fuck herself over, getting into Wayne's avocado money, and then potentially also getting into Big Eddie's safe. It's like the Sharks and the Jets are both gonna be coming after Rue. Rue is making her rounds, going from friend to friend's house. We see her go to Lexi's house, Jules' place, now Maddie's, because, well, Rue is homeless. Do I realistically think that she would actually be going to Maddie's house if she had her own place to stay? No! Like, I don't think that she would be keeping in touch with Maddie. They were really never close at all in high school. But a bed is a bed, right? Rue confides in Maddie that she's thinking about her life all day while Ubering. Like, why hasn't she talked to her mom in 2 years? Why doesn't Gia text her back? Why isn't she with Jules? Rue is the epitome of someone who is stuck in high school. I know quite a few people like this. Maddie says that she has a meeting with someone and her charade skills are incredible. We all know that this is the universal symbol for Cassie. I saw people online say that Rue's just a cornball because why is she saying, round 2, ding, 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 I miss high school, and I have to agree. Stadaya, I don't know if it's working on me right now. Zendaya in the drama, oh, that really worked for me. That really, really worked for me. Rue this season, I don't know if it's working for me. You guys can keep her if I can have Emma. Maddie wants more than anything to sign Cassie because she's directionless and she's desperate for attention. Cassie is, not Maddie. Cassandra's literally dressed up as a baby with a pacifier in her mouth when OF doesn't even allow age play content, and making your poor housekeeper Juana take pictures of you. I know her ass is not getting paid extra for that. I need to call my mom right now and make sure that none of her clients are taking advantage of her and making her take pictures of them. And if she is, she needs to be earning commission because my mom is a housekeeper. Cassie asks Juana if she ever wishes that her life were bigger. And she says no. Cassie's like, even though you're just a housekeeper? Cassandra! But Juana says, America, my dream, which is the title of this episode. As someone whose mom is an immigrant and a housekeeper, it's so interesting seeing them portrayed in the media because I think oftentimes they're seen as meek and submissive, but my mom is like the baddest bitch I know who literally runs her own business. Like, she is a literal business owner, and housekeepers are not seen as being like a boss-ass bitch for literally being business owners. Anyway, my mom really like taught me the importance of working for myself, and I literally don't think I would be here doing this job if it were not for me seeing her and her encouraging me to be self-employed one day. In the summers when I was little, I would go to work with her, and I know for a fact some of the people that she has had to work for are like Cassie and Nate. Don't ever talk shit about housekeepers around me because I do not play about them. Maddie shows up to the pool club in a fur coat. She's dressing to impress, and she means serious business. I know it is sweltering hot. I don't even know how Cassie's in literal pants. And a lot of people did think that Maddie was in the fur coat, the one that Nate had gifted her in season 1 in high school, but it's actually not. That one is gray. I looked it up. I'm not even in Los Angeles, like underneath the sun, and I'm sweating really bad in this right now. Cassie admits that she should have asked Maddie for permission regarding dating Nate because she did find the love of her life at the expense of the other love of her life. Caddy exposed, Massey exposed, new ship just dropped. Maddie fakely forgives Cassie because she's on a mission. She also sees right through her. And after the third April spritz, Cassie starts being like, I have the ability to be huge. I'm so much prettier than all these other girls. Did that sound like I had marbles in my mouth, yes or no? And when Maddie asks if she wants her professional opinion, Cassie's like, yes, fuck, that's why I'm here. Oh, the truth slips out. Oh, therein lies the rub. I think it would be interesting to explore a little bit more of Cassie's mentality of posting nude online, because in a sense, yes, it does make sense for her. She had her autonomy taken away from her when she was in high school. Revenge porn was being constantly posted of her, not just by one guy, but multiple. She could feel like she's taking ownership of her body again, regaining her autonomy, posting nude photos of herself on her own terms. And I think that would be really interesting to dive into that, other than just being like, I need to make money because my fiance is not making enough money for us to have enough flowers. But unfortunately, I am not betting on the writer to add that into her storyline, although I would love to see that, because they discarded her abortion storyline so quickly. And season 2 happened so quickly right after her abortion, and it was never addressed again. Anyway, I feel like there's a lot of things that are a missed opportunity. Cal! Cal comes in saying, I wanna make love to you, girl, you know I wanna, and immediately asks for something to drink. To help cover up Eric Dane's ALS symptoms and his inability to use half of his body, they made him a heavy drinker, which Eric Dane said that he supported, and he wanted to work as much as possible leading up to his death, so I'm so happy that he got to do that. He described his experience working on Euphoria as so laid back and easy, and I'm genuinely really happy that that was his experience. How Cal evaded prison beats me, but now he has to watch his son Nate take over the family business after his own son exposed him. Cal says he heard at a guy at Slaw, sex and love addicts of course, that Cassie's selling pictures of herself, and Nate's like, right, pinup. She's doing pinup photo shoots. Posing as a baby is not pinup photo shoots, Nate. Nate is actually in deep shit with money, it turns out, because he's $600,000 in debt to a guy who's in the funeral business. Nathaniel, stop buying Bottega Veneta. Sell your ugly ass house. You're 23. You can go home and live with your mom. I'm sure she'll be happy to have you and Cassie live at her house. There is no shame in living with your parents at 23. If you're able to, do it. You don't have to have it made already. You're 23. Go rent an apartment, damn. I know real estate in California is really expensive, and some of that interior is kind of fugly, so sell it. So now he's promising this guy $600,000 by the end of the week. How? I don't know. Cassie, maybe. Cal is comparing his cheating and sex and love addiction to Cassie, and Nate's like, no, you're gay, and in denial, and it came out in weird ways. First of all, Nate, what kind of intense ass therapy did you do? Electroshock? Did you get a lobotomy? Is your Prozac prescription 140 milligrams? I forget he's like 6'6", so he probably needs like 200 milligrams to feel like the minimal effects. What's going on, and why are you so evolved and calm about everything and not angry like you were in season 1 and 2? It's 5 years later, it's 5 years later. Growth like that does not happen within 5 years. I say this as I think I am personally a completely different person than I was 5 years ago. But like from age 18 to 23, that's a huge change. This does not happen in 5 years. I need to see his backstory in episode 3. I need to see what happened to him in the last 5 years in episode 3. I have to. Juan is listening to everything, including when Cal says that he was a pitcher, not a catcher, and he's not talking about baseball. Angel is throwing a fit, screaming, throwing shoes at people. Fuck Alamo and everyone that works for him, and also then dropping the N-word. Samuel, what is happening with your pen? Someone take the pen away from Samuel, because who is gonna say the N-word next? Please, I'm getting scared. Angel knows that something had happened to Tish, and honestly, she gave the performance of a lifetime, showing someone who is panicking about their best friend. She's crying to Rue in the bathroom, and that's when Rue comes clean and tells her that she actually OD'd. I'm surprised that she tells her this, because this could lead to her being in big trouble with Alamo, and I was fearing that while watching it, but I do think at the end of the day, Rue is an empathetic person who is not thinking 10 steps ahead of how to try and protect herself. And while she has obvious moments of manipulation, I think she just earnestly believes that Angel should know that her best friend is dead. And so she's not thinking about the consequences of telling her this in the moment. Angel starts doing really unwell, is unconscious at work, overdoing it with drugs, and starts spiraling. So Alamo tells Rue that either she goes to rehab or her ass is getting kicked to the curb. And Rue's like, well, she can't afford rehab. And Alamo's like, I'll send her. And Rue's like, oh my god, wait, that's actually so nice of you. You're like the best boss ever. Not so fast. And Alamo's like, well, when you own as many clubs as I do, it pays to have these places on speed dial. Oh, I wonder why. Alamo's not a nice guy. He does not care for his girls. He's a sick fuck. But Rue's encouraged that if she does get Angel to go to rehab willingly, then Rue will get another promotion. I remember when the photos of this fight leaked and everybody was like, oh my god, Rue was probably gaslighting the fuck out of her here, when in reality, it's her trying to convince her to go to rehab. On the drive to rehab, Angel mentions that in California, more people go missing than anywhere, and that it feels like there's this big magnet under the ground attracting evil. Cassie and Nate are throwing a house party where they are the youngest people there. You're 23! Go get some young 23-year-old friends. Every man at this party is like over the age of 40. And Nate is desperate to make money, so he's trying to convince his friends with double polos to invest in his company because he needs money fast. But he can't look like a brokey. Cassie decides to show one of her friends her pictures, and her friend's like, why are you dressed like a fucking baby? Thank you for asking the important questions. Cassie says, oh my god, she's getting so many requests, teething rings, bassinets, some people even want to see her wear a diaper. Cassandra, get up! Cassie's friend immediately runs and tells her husband, and she's like, yeah, Nate can't afford the wedding. And he's like, oh yes, he can, because they're getting alternating stories getting sent both their ways. Also, I don't think Cassie knows that Nate is $600,000 in debt. Now, Cassie immediately, when she walks in with her friend to the kitchen, she's like, oh, all the food can be thrown away because they're so rich. Keep that in mind. Now, Nate grills Cassie to show her phone to him. Why are we doing this in front of everyone right now? I know why. So that Nate can regain control, of course. Nate says that she needs to delete the account immediately because it's embarrassing, and she will get her the flowers. I can't help but anytime there's scenes in the house, I'm like, this is not either of your guys' aesthetics at all. You need to be in a plain gray house right now. Juana is so funny. She starts asking if they should save the food. Cassie said no because she's cosplaying as super rich. And Juana's like, this? The chicken salad? The tuna salad? The hot dogs? Pigs in a blanket? The patties? This? What about this? Deviled eggs? Bread? Cheese? Ham? Brokey? Should we save this all? And Nate says, Juana, I will kill you. That is the closest that we have gotten to Nate Jacobs this entire season. Rue pulls up to the handicapped parking spot at Hope Springs, okay Kendall Jenner, and goes to check in Angel into rehab when the attendant doesn't give a fuck because she's playing games on her phone. I'm not playing games on my phone.
But you playing on your phone.
No, I'm not playing on my phone. I'm taking care of business.
I don't know why FedEx stretched her out like that. I'm sorry. She says, oh, you work for Alamo. We've been expecting you. Rue looks at the attendant up and down. Like, is that blood under her nails? What is going on? Wow, Zendaya's eyebrows look really good. Like, everything about this place is sketchy. Angel's scared to be there, and Rue tries to reassure her to calm her nerves. She promises that she'll be there to pick her up, and it won't really even be that long. And that's where there's this big emphasis on her promising her that she will pick her up. And that is when, for what might be the last time, we see Angel literally walking into the light. That's why they gave her the name Angel, damn. And Rue's surprised that she doesn't have to fill out any paperwork. She's kind of weirded out by this entire situation, but why would you need a paper trail when you're getting trafficked? Rue ends up calling Bishop to tell him that she was dropped off, but she's worried for her, and Bishop says, God helps those who helps themselves. The scariest characters in the show are monotoned. Now, why would an ambulance pull into Hope Springs? No lights on, no urgency, slow as hell, and then someone in a green car smoking a cigarette in the passenger seat just watching the entire interaction go down. There are some theories that Angel may be getting trafficked. She may be getting killed, and they may literally be harvesting her organs. Reason for the ambulance being there. Which would explain the no paperwork, potential blood underneath the fingernails. I mean, she literally knows too much. She now knows that Tish is dead, I wouldn't be surprised if Alamo knows. She's not making any money anymore. She's basically disposable and useless to Alamo at this point. Might as well make his return on investment. Obviously, I hope that this isn't true. Rue would not be able to live with herself knowing that she drove Angel to her death after promising that she'll pick her up. But this season is supposed to be really dark. So, Cassie tells Nate that Maddie wants to help manage her and that they're friends again, and that she invited her to the wedding. When he asks if it's as revenge, Cassie says, hate to break it to you, but not everyone's in love with you. If you said this to Nate Jacobs in season 2, your jaw would be broken. Who is this man? In a very romantic scene with Wayne and Faye, where they're making love in front of a swastika flag, and he says, I'm fucking your guts out, where we also discover he has a swastika tattoo. Oh yeah, this whole family is inbred. We hear what actually sounds like a velociraptor upstairs. In actuality, it is Alamo getting his revenge and putting a massive pig in their living room with a flag that reads, remember the Alamo. Meanwhile, Rue shows up at Jules' apartment. Angel's body isn't even cold yet, Ruby. I'm loving this Jules wig, okay? A mix between her long hair in season 1, a bob from season 2. It's beautiful and like 50 inches long. Kim Kimball, hair department head, mentions that she's like Rapunzel stuck in her tower with this hair. She's wearing a pump clutch, a cigarette holder earrings, this bra dress, and of course, she lives on the penthouse floor, where we see Jules' massive, beautiful apartment, but her tower that she is kind of stuck in. Rue tells Jules she's California sober and that all these girls at the club are just like throwing themselves at her. Rue, why are we lying? And Jules is like, well, I don't know if my boyfriend would approve of us being together. And thank God it's not Elliot, okay? Rue starts grilling Jules on where he is. Is he at his own house with his family, with his wife? Is his wife okay with this arrangement? And Jules admits, I don't think people are meant to be monogamous. We've known that's Jules' belief since like season 1. But she tells Rue that she can't show up after all this time acting like nothing has happened. And Rue's like, fuck, okay, well that blows my spot of where I'm gonna stay tonight. Let me leave. And Jules is like, oh, you're not gonna keep me company while I take a bath? Rue, you lucky, lucky girl, because this is the nicest place that you are gonna sleep at out of all of your friends' couches. And that is where we end off. Sam Levinson does mention in episode 2 has this feeling of unease, and it basically all explodes in episode 3, which is apparently the Cassie and Nate wedding episode. So, very excited to see that. Truly, I do mean it. I hope that you guys like this video. I love making this series. I know that my local FedEx is sick of me. But anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure that you leave it a like, because it helps me out so much. Leave a comment what you guys end up thinking about episode 2, what you think will happen in episode 3. Hey, if you like my coat, okay? Be nice to hear. Make sure you subscribe if you want to be nasty, if not you're disgusting. Also, make sure your bell notifications are on so you know every single time I post, else you're gross. If you want to follow me on my other social media, I'm too deep up Spotify, it's just at Nicole Rafiee. And if you want to follow me on my TikTok, it's at Nikki Nasty. I have merch out right now if you'd like to buy merch. I'm gonna go now, and I'm gonna go pray that Angel makes it out alive and that Nate dies in episode 3. Oh my god, who said that?
But the kid will do it sometime.